So I've been seeing headlines here and there on redistricting. I know about Texas, but it's completely evolved nationally.
It is totally completely evolved, and the fact that this is happening in Voting Rights Week of all weeks is just emblematic of the destruction. Basically, you're right. This is beyond just Texas. I just wrote an article about this today. If anyone wants to go read it in depth, ahmedbaba.news, shameless plug. We've
Always.
got Trump basically behind the scenes. It started in June. He started calling Republican states, and particularly Greg Abbott in Texas, because they have the widest swath of districts to be able to essentially wipe off the map. But basically, Trump wanted 5 new seats in Texas, and Abbott is seeking to do that. We know Texas Democrats fled the state. But
Yep.
meanwhile, they're also pushing in Indiana. J.D. Vance was there yesterday, trying to pressure more skeptical Republican state lawmakers to do it. They're potentially gonna do it in Ohio, where they're required by law to draw new districts after a long legal battle. And then you've also got Missouri. You've got potentially Florida now.
Yep.
And it's essentially a nationwide gerrymandering push
Yeah.
from Trump that is just so blatantly authoritarian. And now we can get into the details of what's going on with the Texas Democrats, but like trying to potentially sick
Yeah.
the FBI on them. It's unraveled really
That's
fast.
crazy. So I want to go super high real quick before we get into details because I think a lot of our viewers are pretty well read in this thing and they're seeing the headlines as they go. The this is a reminder, hopefully, for all of us that the reason why Republicans have any shot of winning elections in America is because they cheat. Full stop. If all of the people who were eligible to vote had the opportunity to actually vote, not were forced to vote, but just nobody was wiped off the voter rolls for erroneous reasons. People weren't didn't have their right to vote taken away. If they all voted, we would win every election. Okay, we'd win the majority. Democrats, liberals, whatever, even left-leaning independents would win the majority of elections in this country. And the only reason why Republicans have a shot is because they do stuff like this. And this is, I'll never forget this, back in the day, pre-Trump maybe, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton came into town and they did this giant event. And one of the things that Bill Clinton communicated, he said that he and Mitch McConnell had a conversation. And this private conversation that now, Clinton was okay speaking publicly about, he basically said that McConnell admitted to him that if it was fair, then Democrats would win every time, and Republicans have to do this to stay in the game. And that's it. Their tactic is to make sure that we don't all vote. That's their tactic, and that's what we see them doing. This is like all pretenses set aside, the facade removed. Bless you, man. Bless you. The facade completely removed. Um, this is what they're about, and now we're seeing it.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry for the sneeze. I'm allergic to authoritarianism. So basically, what's happening here is exactly what you're saying. If you think you can win on the merits of your ideas, if you think you can win on the merits of your policies, you don't have to like rewrite the parameters of democracy
Yep.
in order to win. And that's what they're doing here with these maps. You can even see in some of the Texas maps, they're drawn in. It's like they're playing Snake or Tetris. Like you could see it. Like they come and take slivers out of the urban areas, and then it balloons out in the rural areas. They're just carving it up in a way that virtually eliminates these Democratic seats. And again, the reason why this is so improper is because this usually is tied to a 10-year census. And
Yep.
instead, they're being forced to do it by Trump. Well, not forced, they're going along with it in this mid-cycle here because, again, Trump knows he's unpopular.
Yeah.
The generic ballot, every poll I've seen indicates Republicans are very likely to lose.
Yep.
And therefore, they're going to rewrite the rules. It's a blatant power grab. It's overt
Yeah.
and how far wide-reaching it is. And like you said, the history of this. I mean, you go back to Jim Crow. Like this is just, and because of what the Supreme Court has done, upholding
Yep.
some racial gerrymanders, things like that, it's made this easier, and they're moving forward with it. But luckily, Democrats are responding. We can get to how they're responding in a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
But overall, I think before we do, it's
Yeah.
just the blatant authoritarian nature of this.
Yeah.
Like you highlighted is key.
Well, and I want to. This is like a message to our side. Don't lose hope. This is not the majority of America that is siding with them. They have silenced so many voices. There are still more of us that believe in democracy and believe in fairness and believe in this kind of liberal idea. It's hard to say it now because it feels like we're so far from it, but there's more of us on the good side. That's like my like overarching message. Now here's the other side, right? In order for us to achieve the thing that we want to get, we've got to play by this new set of rules, which means that blue states now have to gerrymander, and like Hochul said in New York, this is war now, and it is war of the map drawing kind. This is not out in the streets fighting violently. It has not come to that, and hopefully it never will. But it is war on drawing maps, and New York and California have responded. Did I hear that J.D. Pritzker said something about Illinois?
Yes, J.B. Pritzker is considering this. Maryland state lawmakers have talked about this.
Yeah.
New
Okay.
Jersey. We
Yep.
have New York. Obviously, New Jersey and New York, it's harder because they'd have to change the Constitution, which would
Yeah.
take a ballot measure. But so that might not happen until 2027. But either way, Democrats are speaking up. And before I talk to the Democrats, I wanted to piggyback off what you were saying, just on the give people hope.
Yeah.
It's just to reemphasize that this is coming from a place of weakness from Trump.
Yes.
His approval rating is at
It's because they knew they were going to get hammered in the
he's at a
midterms.
and it's not just the generic ballot. His
Yeah.
approval rating is at a second-term low of 37%. And to put that in perspective, his all-time low, this is a Gallup poll, which is one of the his most historically reliant presidential approval polls. His first-term low was 34%. And do you know when that was? It was after January 6th.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Trump's approval rating right now is 3 points away
from
from
January
his
6th.
post-January 6th low.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's crazy.
So this is coming from a place of fear. This is coming
Yep.
from a place of inadequacy and knowing that they're cooked potentially.
Yeah.
We've been saying this all year that Republicans have cooked themselves, and in the midterms. And you're right. They're coming from this place of weakness, and because they're coming from a place of weakness, I think that's why we also see why Democrats are responding as forcefully as they are.
Well, and also I think that it's clear to Democrats that the only way to win is to fight fire with fire. I think that there was if you rewind 4 years, there was a time where people believed that we could win by playing by the old rules and being better than them, and not getting down in the mud with them. When they go low, we go high, right? Like that was it's admirable. It's admirable, and and also it's in America from a different time. And I think that the thing we understand now is that we have got to get down in the mud with them, or we lose everything. We lose everything. They're willing to do anything in order to take and retain power, and the only way we get to fight them at all is this way. And it's tough. It digs at our souls because it's the opposite of fair maps. It goes against one of the principles we've been fighting for forever. The Voting Rights Act is built on making sure this kind of thing doesn't happen. And yet, in order for us to have a shot at next year's elections, we have to gerrymander also.
Yeah. And I think that's spot on. That's what's happening. And again, I think what media needs to be really careful of, and people generally, is framing this as partisan bickering or two sides, having gerrymandering wars. What this really is Democrats are doing this in a defensive position. This is defense and a rebalancing of something that were to happen if Texas were to pass this. It is not Democrats going on the offensive here. And I think Gavin Newsom had this quote this one sentence from his statement I wanted to read that I thought captured this perfectly, of what, especially what you're saying. He said, California's moral high ground means nothing if we're powerless because of it. And I think right there he's speaking on behalf of Democrats more broadly. You know, if you can hold this moral high ground, you can hold these principles, but if you're just going to hold them and let Republicans trample over democracy, then what's the point of the principles in the first place if you're not going to be able to actually effectuate that change or bring those principles into policy because you've just ceded all power? And I think Democrats are now finally dealing with the world as it is and not the world they want it to be. You can't live in this high-minded ideological place and let yourself, this isn't, you can't let yourself get repeatedly punched in the face. You're trying to defend these immigrants, you're trying to defend the rights of people behind you, and you're just going to let Republicans repeatedly punch you in the face.
Yeah, right.
You can't do that.
Right.
You have to fight back. And obviously that's a violent metaphor, not with violence, but you have to fight back with these initiatives. And I think defensive redistricting is not a crazy thing to do if they're encroaching on your democracy. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if once we're out of this, just do a national ban of gerrymandering. We'll be done with it.
Yeah, but the only way you get that is if you get power. That's it.
Exactly.
You've got to get power.